Live from Wave in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Listens Live.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us here on Wave Listens Live. I'm your host, Brian Schlonsky. Today, it is Wednesday, and we are about halfway through this week, and we've got a great show for you here today as we take you to the rundown now and show you what to expect on our program. We will be talking with pet tech expert Kristen Slater about cool tech ideas for your pets that will ensure their well-being during the holiday season and beyond. Listen Live's Garrett Moore talked with her, so he will have more coming up. It is also a Warren Wealth Wednesday today with Marcus Warren. He is back to talk all about 6 year-end wealth moves to help you get the most out of your savings. But up first here today, we have Cervices LLC Roofing, Gutters, and Siding here to talk about some of those winter weather tips. We want to make sure you can help protect your home this winter season. Dana Brown, the owner of Cervices, is here to help you do that. Good to see you.
Glad to be back.
It's kind of perfect timing. We're talking about winterizing your home, and temperatures have been dropping. We've got our first
ridiculous, isn't it?
snowfall, which felt a little early this year, but it is what it is. So
definitely cold.
This time of year, kind of got to keep an eye out for some different things.
Yeah. So this time of year, people don't like to spend a whole lot of time outside. You want to get inside as quickly as possible. But at the same time, you don't want to neglect some things that could really save you big bucks by catching a problem area when it's early. So while nobody likes to get out on a ladder, if you're out hanging Christmas lights or out doing some of the stuff that's holiday related, putting out some decor and things like that, once you're up on that ladder, put it up against the gutters and take a look, because the biggest thing that people can do this time of year to save themselves from a tremendous amount of repair work later is check those gutters. If you've got debris in those gutters, if they're not pitched correctly where they're allowing the water to drain towards the downspout and move away from the house, not only is it holding that debris, but it's holding that water that every night is turned into ice, and that's a tremendous amount of weight. Think about a 40-foot run of gutter off the front of your house. The gutter itself may only weigh 20 pounds, but you can have 100 pounds of ice in there pretty easily that is hanging over your head literally every time you walk in and out of the door. Every year we get calls where gutters have been so full of debris and ice that they weigh too much for the hangers to hold, and they come down in the yard. When it does that, it creates damage well beyond the gutters themselves. So look around, and if you know that you haven't cleaned out the gutter since the fall, you know that you've got some stuff in there. I think next week is going to be a little warmer, so take care of it. If that's what your gutters look like, you definitely need to get up there and make sure that all of that stuff is clear from the gutters. If you've got gutter guards, great. If you don't, maybe this is the time of year to invest in that, and we'd be happy to come out and take a look and clean those gutters out for you in advance of installing those guards. But that is the number one problem, weather related, that we see. But the second thing that you can look at while you're already on that ladder is look around. Now that all the leaves are gone, you can see what's in contact with the roof surface and what's not. And every year we have people that say, when the leaves were on there, I thought that it was getting kind of close, but now that the leaves are gone. You can see every year we get calls like this where something is in the wind. Every time the wind blows, it's rubbing up against your shingle surface and it's wearing literal holes into your roof, or it's damaging the metal that goes on the edges of your roof, tearing up drip edge, tearing up fascia metal, anything like that. I'm no arborist, so don't come at me for the time of year to cut it off, but it definitely, consult a tree person who's an expert on what to do with the trees. I'm a roof expert, and I know it definitely doesn't need to be touching the roof. So that's definitely something else you can take a look at while you're on the ladder there.
If the vegetation like that is touching the roof, I can imagine also maybe makes it easier for certain types of critters to get up there, and it's another worry for people this time of year.
Right. I mean, we don't want to be out in the cold. They don't either. Yeah. So we get several calls. We've had several in the last few weeks, too, where critters are pretty resourceful little things. They can chew their way through just about anything, especially if it's that first couple of cold snaps and they find a way to get in. They're going to keep after it until they get a big enough hole to gain access. So sometimes you can see that from the outside. Definitely take a look when you're on the ladder. But another great way to see that is to go in your attic. Wait until it is a nice, bright, sunshiny day outside And look, if there's light coming in from places that it shouldn't be, it definitely is something that you need to take a closer look at. But while you're in the attic, there's some other stuff that you can take a look at too.
Okay.
Obviously, in the wintertime isn't when we necessarily think of making sure that the ventilation in the attic is great, but it's certainly more comfortable time of year to be in the attic if anything does need to be inspected. But make sure that your insulation isn't covering over the intake along your soffits. A lot of people will do a DIY project and go up and add some insulation, not realizing that they have to have fresh air coming in for it to ventilate that attic space. One of the telltale signs, if you go outside of your house after a snow and yours is the only one that still has snow or the only one that doesn't still have some snow, if your attic is not ventilating the way that everybody around you is, you probably want to look into figuring out why that is. While you're up there, make sure that if you've got any kind of a attic ventilation system that isn't a passive one, like a box vents or ridge vent, if you've got turbines or whirlybird type vents, or you've got power vents, make sure that those are functioning correctly. And make sure that the ventilation system has a chance to do what it needs to do, because it changes how your roof ages if that heat is bottled up there.
It's a wonder how many of these projects started as DIY projects and quickly turned into a bigger expense than it needed to be.
Yeah, you can do that quickly.
Let's talk. One more winter tip that you had on here was that you can actually, while you're inside, look at your ceilings and see if you're noticing damage there.
Yeah. Obviously, if water's coming in, it's going to follow gravity, right? It's going to go and find its way into a ceiling. But a lot of times, unless you're really looking regularly, you can kind of convince yourself that maybe that water spot's been there for a while. Maybe that was from the last leak. So one little tip, take a pencil and mark the outline of that, and it'll erase. But if you go through several more rains and it's in exactly the same color, same outline, you're probably looking at something that's old, and it's okay to go ahead and paint over it. Obviously, if it grows or changes in any way, that's definitely time to call in the professionals.
And make sure that it doesn't get worse. Okay.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about residential so far, and a lot of those great tips. Apartments, churches, businesses, probably a good time to keep an eye on those too.
It is. All the same tips apply. I mean, the roof system works the same in any kind of building, but this time of year, new budgets are coming out, and so you're really trying to get those bids together to make that budget stretch as long as you can. No different than a homeowner, really. But for a lot of those multifamily dwellings, those commercial complexes, things like that, if you've been doing repairs year after year after year, you know that you're going to have some issues. You know what's brewing. You just need to get a competitive bid to see how far you can stretch that budget. We'd love to be a part of that process also.
Yeah, if you've put that out of your budget the last couple budget sessions, maybe this time is...
it doesn't heal itself, no matter how much we hope.
The time to address it.
Definitely.
Okay, well, I want to make sure that everybody, we've got about a minute or so left, knows how to get in touch with you and kind of what that process looks like.
Yeah, so one of the things that we hear over and over from folks is, that they don't have familiarity with the process. So I really encourage people to go to our website at cervicesllc.com. There are sections on there about what it's like to work with us, what you can expect from the process. If you are looking at an issue that potentially would involve insurance, there are some documents on there that'll kind of walk you through what some of the terminology to look for in your policy. What are the things that you need to ask and be aware of? It gives people an opportunity to know what it's like to work with us before they have to make the call. But then definitely our website is the first place to go. But just give our office a call. We really love talking to people. We want to hear your story. We want to know what's going on with your house, and we want to see what we can do to make it better.
Dana Brown from Cervices, great to see you. Thanks for the homework assignment next week during the nice weather, but it's important that we do it, especially before it turns into a big issue, when it gets even colder.
It's a lot less expensive to do now than it will be if you let it go.
You are right about that. Well, good to see you as always. Stay with us here on Wave Listens Live. We've got 2 more great segments to go. Coming up next, we have Garrett Moore here talking with pet tech expert Kristen Slater, who wants to make sure that you have some great gift ideas that your pets can have. It'll ensure their well-being this holiday season and beyond.
The Wave Charlie Wilson's Jen Air Kitchen is furnished by Miller's Fancy